Hey everybody, great to have you back here in the fish tank. It's time to go through the latest patch notes for Minion Masters. This is going to be version 2.19. It's called Order and Oblivion, and it is going to be an accursed themed season pass. Now, of course, we don't have any new cards, but we do have a bunch of balance changes, and we're going to go through those right now. Remember, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with all things Minion Masters related. It really does help support the channel. Thank you. Okay, so as we said, Order and Oblivion, Rendrath the Deathless there. Right, balance changes. So I'll put a link in the description so you can check out this. My version is slightly different to the one you'll find on the blog post. I've taken the blog post, I've added some images to make it easier to tell you what the cards are, and I've also included the win rate data where appropriate. And as you may know, the devs do give us this win rate data. Again, if you go to my website, badasfish80.com, you will see all of that data available there when we get updated. So, of course, this win rate data is for last season, which is hopefully gives us an idea of the driving force behind these balance changes. Right. So we're going to go through the buffs first. Things getting stronger. Cheese Date. Make this a tiny little bit bigger. So Cheese Date cycles through the available minions instead of choosing one at random. So instead of it being random, you're not sure what you're gonna... Well, you do know... I think they changed it so you do know what you're gonna get, but it wasn't... but it was random, so you could get multiple things you didn't want, so on and so forth. Whereas now it's going to cycle through... the way it generally works is it chooses a starting point at random, and then it goes through in a set format. We can see here, in solos, it was kind of doing okay, 53% last season, 2v2s 48, 49%, so not really performing particularly badly, but it's a little bit of buff, but also sort of a quality of life thing. Right, Command Rosali. She spawns with a shield now, which thematically makes a lot of sense. Win rate, you can see her solo win rate was very poor last season, 39%. Her 2v2 win rate's okay, 51%. This is only a small buff, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But speaking of problems, if you've seen the meta so far this season, you will have seen a lot more High Marshal Rystar. So he's been buffed, and quite a reasonably solid buff, where his Legion has gone up from 3 to 5. Now, if you're not familiar with the Legion mechanic, so when you spawn a card that has Legion, so for example, Legion 5, count them, Legionnaires are shuffled into your deck, and they are auto-played when you get to them. They're 0 cost, they're auto-played, so when you get to them, they automatically appear at your tower. So High Marshal Rystar has 5 Legion instead of 3, and remember, he also buffs them as well with the Centurion upgrade, I think it's called. So, I mean, if you argue that each Legionnaire is worth 1 mana, then this could be giving him 2 mana's worth of value in addition, which seems like quite a sizable buff. So we can see his win rate was at 44% in solos last season, 2v2 rate around 50% last season. But he's definitely going to be seen a lot more in solos, and we've already seen that so far this season. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is this... I would have liked to see a more gradual approach here, give him Legion 4 instead of 5, because it's quite a substantial buff. And if you remember, when High Marshal Rystar was added to the game, he was really strong and really meta for a few seasons, so I hope we don't get back to that too much. Right, Mountain Gale. So remember, Mountain Gale is the AoE heal, also removes debuffs from your minions and buffs from opponents' minions. Healing increase from 150 to 180, so just a small increase there. And you can see here the win rate in solos was awful, 37%, and in duos pretty bad as well, 45%. Right, Prime Sergeant Radic. This is kind of a little bit of a rework because there's some different stats being changed here, but I think this is implemented to be a buff. So range reduced from 6 to 4. Normally with range minions, you want them to have a longer range. Longer is better. But the way Prime Sergeant Radic works with his sort of cone shots with, I don't know, 9 projectiles or whatever it is, the closer he is to something, the better his damage is going to be. Just because more of the projectiles will hit. That's why you want to jump straight on top of him, on top of your opponent. So his range has been reduced from 6 to 4, movement speed increased from 5 to 7. And as you can see there, win rate not really too bad, so didn't really need too much of a change. 49% in solos, 50% in duos, so kind of okay, doesn't really need too much, but we'll see how that change falls. Right, Protocol Assassin, she was very strong and then got changed, became very weak. Well, I say very weak, you can see there still solos 53%, duos 45%, so not doing too badly. Little bit of a buff here, up from 40 to 50 attack damage. I'm not sure if that's her base attack or her slash attack. Unsure on that. Let me know if you know. Right, Rampant Growth. You can see here the stats here were pretty awful. So Rampant Growth is the spell that consumes all of the Growth Burst Shrooms and then heals the target. Also gives them Growth Burst Shroom if they haven't got it already. And does a knockback. Did they remove knockback or a stun? I forget. We very rarely see this card. So the healing per mushroom gone up from 75 to 85. And you can see their win rate, 41% in solos, 42% in duos. So very underperforming card. Siegebreaker Mark 1. I wasn't a fan of this change because I thought like it was okay. In solos, Eric was playing it constantly. So that means it must be good at the top of the leaderboard. So the AoE for the attack has been increased a little bit. So remember, AoE, area of effect, instead of hitting one target, it can hit multiple targets. That area is gone up from 1.5 to 2. Not a big increase, but I didn't really feel like it needed it, but it went through anyway. So you can see 56% win rate last season. In duos, only a 49%, but it's, you know, it's almost 50%. We're okay with that. Right, Stun Lancers. Again, didn't really feel like they needed to be changed, but changed they have been. So they're now summoned vertically instead of horizontally, so you can split them without having to bounce them off your tower. So you can see here win rates were okay, nearly 51% in solos, 48% in duos. Same change for War Dancers. They will benefit from this more because you weren't able to sort of push them off your tower to split them like you could with the Stun Lancers. And you can see their win rates around 47-48%. Right, rebalances, things that have been changed in more than one way. So Monitor Nats, they're now going to be a 2-cost card instead of a 3-cost card, but you'll only get 2 Nats instead of 3. And one thing to mention, if it's a 2-cost spell, then you can get that from King Puff perk 2, which has recently seen the Clear Skies added to that, the pool of available spells there. So solos win rate 45%, 46% for duos. So definitely needed something. Is it going to make it better? We'll see. Right, big one here. Vulco Alt Perk 3 Endless Rage. This has been very difficult to balance, and we've tried to rein it in a few times, but it still has an incredibly high win rate in solos. This is the Alt Perk, remember, compared to the standard perk. So instead of it being a single-use card, you now get it. It's a timer-based card, so you get it every 30 seconds. That's going to be 30 seconds from the last time you used it. And you're going to get 2 mana when you use it, and it's going to cause both embers to burn on the bridge for 5 seconds. So it's no longer a one-time only perk. And it makes it very difficult to balance the one-time only perk, because it's got to be strong if it's a one-time only perk, but it can't be too strong. And trying to find the happy medium between those, it was just sort of a perk design that was just going to be very difficult to balance. And you can see there, win rate 63% in solos, 54%, 55% in duos. So it was doing very, very well. Right, nerfs. Crystal Sentry definitely needs a nerf. Attack rate increased a little bit from 1.4 to 1.5 seconds, so it attacks more slowly. You can see there the stats really back that up. Is this change enough? Maybe not. You can see there nearly a 60% win rate in solos and a 53% win rate in duos. Right, Jezra the Void Mother. So the cost of her Void Tear is being increased from 2 to 3. That's of course her ability where she spawns either in front of her 2 Elite Swarmers or behind her 4 Cowardly Imps. And you can see there again, You can see the win rate, especially in solos, at 54%. She was dominating the meta in terms of either people playing her, or because there was a lot of her in the meta, people had to tech specifically against her, because she is difficult to deal with if you don't have the right tools. Right, King Puff trick swap, so that's his perk 2. The stun duration on the bridge swap is reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. Now, I haven't tried this actually. It'd be interesting to see how much of a nerf this was. But you can see the stats: win rate 54% in solos, so doing pretty well. Randoms 52%. We also have the pre-made win rate here because it's an overall master, not an alt perk. The pre-made's win rate was 65%, but do take that with a pinch of salt. It's a very low played game mode, and it is, I get a lot of crap when I say this, but 90% of the games are just noob bashing, with no disrespect to anyone. It just is. It's just how it works. So basically, if you're a good player in that mode, you can really get some crazy stats. Right, and then closing out, we've had our copies allowed reduced to 1, so that's no wildcards allowed on the following cards: Arcane Barrage, Windwalker Shihao, Stormy, Shrew Mamashumi, Blue Golem, and Blast Mancer. Right, so those are the changes. The things are getting stronger, weaker, rebalanced, and copies allowed removed. I know the copies allowed being removed, some people will hate that, some people will love it, but you know, that's a lot of the changes will be like that. Whether if you're using them, then you're going to be upset, and if you're struggling against them, you're going to be happy. As always, let me know in the comments, what do you think of these changes? We have had the new season for a few days, so please do let me know, what is your experience of, we've seen these changes on paper, but what is your experience of them actually out there in the wild? What is the meta looking like in the game mode that you're playing? Right, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Reminder, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button to support us and to keep up to date with all things Minion Masters related. And of course, you don't want to miss an awkward wave. I'm Bad as Fish, and this is an awkward wave.